Way, wherever you are, where that land meets the ocean, there is an underwater cable there beneath the waves that connects you to the rest of the world. And it is these cables, they're about the size of a garden hose in most cases, that carry 95% of the world's digital data. Phone calls, emails, you name it. It's not satellites, it's not wireless magic. It is this stuff on your screen, a massive network that physically lashes together the continents of Earth and spans nearly 1 million miles in the process. And here's the really concerning part. These cables can break, just like cables on land. Sometimes it's just an act of life happening, nature, a curious shark, but increasingly, it is also clear that sabotage is a possibility. Chinese vessels have at least twice severed undersea cables in the Baltic Sea in Europe, including just last month when a Chinese-owned ship coming from a Russian port dragged its anchor across the ocean floor for more than 100 miles. The result? Broken cables affecting at least 4 different countries. Now, the Chinese government says it supports the security of undersea cables, and the Russians have forcefully denied any culpability here. However, the German defense minister said bluntly, no one believes that these cables were cut accidentally. Or as NATO's former supreme commander for Europe put it earlier this year, the age of seabed warfare has arrived.
So how serious is all of this and what is being done to stop it? Joining us now is Chris Krebs, who was the first director of the U.S. Cybersecurity and Infrastructure Security Agency. Chris, welcome. The reporting on this is wild.
It's crazy.
I mean, there's a whole world on the high seas that we just don't know about. But let's talk about this Chinese ship that left a Russian port and cut the cables in Swedish waters. European investigators say there's no way that anyone manning a ship like this would not notice that its anchor was down. It slowed down for days. What do you think is going on, and what's the threat?
And in fact, I think it doubled back at one point.
Gosh.
So, look.
Oh, just to make sure, maybe?
Yeah, you know, just to extra you know, measure twice, cut once. Maybe they were going to cut twice here. Look, so subsea cables are a thing that have been, you know, a modern infrastructure, we'll call it, for about 150 years now. 1850.
Really, that
1850
long?
was the first telegraph laid between England and France. And then fast forward to World War I, where the British fleet controlled most of the actual submarine cable tenders, the ships that actually lay and repair cables. But they cut the German cables, and the Germans couldn't fix it. So modern warfare has included disrupting these seaborne cables for years and years. Even the U.S. in the Cold War would tap into submarine cables that the Soviets had laid, and we conducted espionage. We could listen in and to their military communication. So it's here, it's been here, but now what's at stake is, Tony, as you pointed out, the vast majority of global data transits these cables, and it can lead to latency issues when there's damage. And in some cases, particularly geographically isolated countries, can have serious degradations, if not total outages.
Well, Taiwan comes to mind, right?
Sure.
It's connected to the mainland by these cables. If they're cut and a war breaks out, I mean, you've got blank cell phone screens. Maybe your equipment militarily struggles to work.
Yeah, look, in the Chinese manufacture about anywhere from 30 to 50% of submarine cables that are being laid now. They have a tender fleet that represents about a quarter of the global ships. So they've got the capability to lay their own, but they also have the capabilities to go in and disrupt, to your point, Taiwan. And if there is an invasion of Taiwan, you know one of the first things that get hit
is the cables. So what would be the potential motivation if the German defense minister is right, that it was not an accident that these cables were cut?
That's a good question, right? I think it's still early in the investigation to really figure out why. There are allegations that maybe the Russians influenced this ship captain, which might actually make sense, which is why the Chinese are actually cooperating.
Why would that make sense?
Well, because the Chinese are cooperating. Usually if the Chinese are responsible for something, they don't cooperate.
Yeah, their statement was very kind of like, we respect all international law and all of that, where the Russians were more direct in their denial.
Well, hold on. Why do we even need cables in this day and age? I mean, CBS Deals is selling you wireless charging all the time, right? I mean, can't we do wireless internet globally?
Well, it's about latency, it's about speed, and it's about capacity. So these cables can carry terabytes of data equivalent to a satellite that can only do about a gigabyte in the same time frame. So it's all about throughput, it's about speed, it's about latency. What do we care about right now? How fast that Netflix movie or whatever.
It's so true.
You know, look, I'm in the middle of Landman. I can't wait to get home. And you know, we watched Yellowstone the other night. But there's so much good stuff that's streaming, and the demand from the consumer is driving more and more of these.
This is
cables.
how World War III is going to break out because the streaming is breaking out.
Exactly. If you want to disrupt a country and sow chaos,
Sir,
lay
then cut the
landman.
cable. That's it. Fire up the engines. Chris, great to see you.
Yes,
thank you very much
thank
for
you.
being here. Appreciate it.